Yeah. So that's significance of that. So that's the beginning of the structure that you see in the railway terminals, and again, as I said, the innovations and experimentation is happening here.
Is this then because you see benefits after that, like Paris and others?
Yes.
Is that what you were saying earlier about managers just being quite excited?
Yeah.
And it was based around necessity for ownership.
Exactly. Yeah. That drives, because I mean that's where the money was as well, right?
Yeah. And the bigger you can build your building, the bigger you can build a ship.
That's it. And the bigger you can build a ship, the more power you have on the sea.
I mean, that seems so interesting because it's not just then a local history; it's international.
It is a big international.
Yeah, because I mean, the movement of rivers is probably back then the biggest way of moving culture.
Exactly.
Was a sense of like power.
Just don't want to get cut.
Getting to places.
So it's about like what can we bring back?
Yes, that as well, and because John Evelyn is also famous for the sky. So we have a so plant material that was being brought from all over the world. These ships were going, but people as well, goods as well. Quite terrifying.
It's a shame that it just looks like a shade in the middle of
Right? Right.
But is that kind of out of choice that it's been left to live somewhat? Is it to create this image of slight dereliction?
Well, whose choice might that be?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, you do have the city.
Good question. I mean, if this if it's not worth much, then who's to you've got some strong debates on all sides of that.
A certain sense of not actually, if it's part of a problematic history, equally important not to just whitewash out the. Like it's actually a fairly comfortable thing to get rid of the last mark.
Right?
Like here, so close to the city, like you look across at some of the most famous skylines in London.
like South River development, like
Yeah. So there's a local organisation called the Museum of Slavery and Freedom, who are worth having a look at. They are looking for a site at the moment. They'll be brilliant to be in here because being able to actually explore those issues, both kind of nationally and globally, but also locally, because of this site and what it means.
Museum of what? Sorry.
Slavery and freedom stuff.
how many ecological surveys have you done
Oh, that's good.
on this site? Is that something that is
So my colleague was talking to the contractor today. It wasn't part of the conversation, but so they have been, but it's not comprehensive. So they have to for the planning section. So there is data available there, but it's what they're doing at the moment. Apparently, is quite limited. There's an opportunity to have a kind of a record to see how it changes over time, but that recording is not being done.
You wouldn't really, because it's a requirement.
Yes.
It has to be done within a certain time period before development as well, because you have to be. It's about demonstrating the impact of that change. So it wouldn't make sense for them to do it in the meantime. Basically, you would do it, wait until you need to do it.
okay? Yeah, extend it and then
How much was this site, like in terms of like an ecological like what would this have looked like before? Did it change the course of the river? Because I imagine building in slipways and so on.
Well, in fact, there have been a small slipway basin here, like a natural basin here from
which is why
Roman
they
times.
chose.
So there is evidence
Yeah.
of use of that for a long, long time. It is and in fact they closed this in 1869, when it's a combination of the ships getting bigger and the river silting up a bit, so that you can get quite such large ships up here. So it has reacted to those
It's
kinds
interesting.
of.
It's sort of like now historic change.
So did the shipbuilding move to somewhere else, or it just?
Yeah, so further out, so Chatham, Portsmouth, Plymouth, the existing. I think this was one of 7, I think, at the kind of height, and it was established by Henry VIII. For part of that kind of.
Because it's also at that point where industrialization is happening. So
Yes.
did they still need the big ships, or they were?
Well, I mean, we're still. You also had the docks at the Isle of Dogs, so just over there. That was built to be able to take, particularly on trade, so that a lot of the trade ships would be going by the Isle of Dogs. That was constructed especially to be able to get those big ships in, and by the time that was up until the 1980s, and then big cruise shipping containers went out at Tilbury, Felixstowe.
And here was also a massive change from wood to steel.
Yes.
The whole production extended specialised in wood for
Yes.
250 years, and then they stopped it.
Yeah.
They had to move to the Isle of Dogs, which was just a plain marshland.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. That's another thing that's really interesting about this site, is because it was so, because of the way it was used, a lot of mapping, a lot of the recording of the site is you have very precise drawings of this specific piece of land at times where you wouldn't have that anywhere else. But you also have these glorious sections of like, so from the Isle of Dogs across the river to here, where Isle of Dogs was just marsh, and then here you have the embankment, you have all of the like really technically developed things. So so there's vast amounts of material showing this exact site for a lot.
The plans from this.
Oh, nice print.
Oh, what?
Yeah, these are the ones.
Oh, brilliant! Yes. Okay, so you've already had a look at these. Brilliant. So yes, see where we are here. This is the shed
Oh, right.
on top of these 2 slipways.
So there's a big basin.
Yeah.
Bree, do you want to
Yeah,
them up to
keep going.
your main bit? And
Yeah.
then we'll start again.
Do you, because I live like kind of just over here, so walking through here,
Aha.
and know that like all of these estates have got like there's loads, there's like there's a lot of space around the buildings, but it's almost all of it is gated up so that it's inaccessible. So there's like lawns and things, but you can't actually.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like any of the residents or anyone can use it.
I've got a feeling that the National Trust are involved in changing that. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't unusual. It's like sort of because it's expensive to manage. Yeah. If nobody's doing it, then it's easier and most cost effective to block it off from people, right? But it is that, just knowing that that's right there, and this is, I don't know, like that sort of whether those spaces are like going to become permeable.
Hang on, I just want to stop here for a second and say that, so we showed you the plan that there's like the green corridor that will come up from the park and the garden leading straight up to this Olympia Square. So what it will mean is that the centre of the site is this huge site is that actually will be split in 2. Or have like as like a central corridor that is kind of human scale, a little bit more, that is kind of accessible and culturally based, etc. Yes.
So like this,
like that. Yes. That's sort of, because that's the thing. It's hard to really tell when we're just walking down the road, but this is enormous. 40 acres. It's a big site to get your head around. So yes, the
it's like all these buildings
Yes.
have got like these kind of mini green courtyards.
Yes.
They're mostly gated. Some of them you can take your dog into and things like that. But they're even around the buildings. Often they've got really high fences. It's not possible to go in. You can see that there's grass there. But
and
they're not really
also
used.
they've got their backs to a walled thing. So it's weird, isn't it? You wouldn't like. How do you open up any of that?
Is it actually like
Just
more
remove the
open
fences,
for
isn't it?
across the city to see? Because that's quite that's a really surprisingly open skyline,
Isn't it?
Like that's such a rare pocket to have in the boys.
And it's amazing sort of being at this point on the Isle of Dogs, because you do, when you get to the river, you can see in both directions along the way. And yeah, I mean, that is Deptford's riverfront. I don't know what the tide is doing at the moment. Spotted, but you may have, if it's low enough, then you can go after this. You can go back down to where the pub was and turn left, and there are steps down onto the beach. Have you been down onto the beach?
I haven't been down onto the beach because I don't think I was maybe I've always got my timing wrong. But yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what the tide is doing today, but that's then you can actually see the river. You can't from
It's a rarity to have this preserved in such in the capital city.
It's something this size and this importance, but
Because what is the development like? You'd think it's such a culturally, also emotionally important site. What's the battle behind the development in terms of how it can justify taking on such important?
well, I would say I think that a really significant factor is the length of it, because now very something, it was just right, exactly. It was like, oh no, I'll never go to Deptford. Then he's international, Portsmouth, then Big Man, and it's just we found it so hard to get any coverage. It's just like, it certainly wouldn't pass planning now.
It's hard to imagine that it could back then.
Deal's done, right?
Is there a timeout sort of clause in it?
No, I mean there are ways around it. Like there is absolutely for this very reason, but there are ways around it.
Of course.
And who has the deep pockets for lawyers?
It's always Hutchinson's who's been developing the site, or were there some other
Well, News
developers? International
before, and so with News International, they put in the first planning proposal. It was a Richard Rogers scheme, and that was 1999 or something, and which wasn't that dissimilar to what is finally got approval. And at the time, Lewisham gave that, and it's damn you, Lewisham, that gave them approval in principle, that said some things need to be, it needs to be better, but we reckon that we can do that sort of massing and volume and but yeah, as I say, it was really hard to get the interest in this site. We gained some traction with the garden, but they were less successful with the dockyard. So, for example, even if it was just something as small as having the basin, that would be really, the basin is really important, but the basin is going to be, there's going to be a water feature on, a bit of it, but it's not the basin,
Also, isn't it going to be related to the proximity to the water and to the riverside and the value of that you didn't get from that's factors into the sort of plan. Earning being able,
Is it almost all
Is it a developed depth site? Are they looking back into depth, or are they?
I think they're already
International.
international. I think they've already been advertised in China, haven't they? Yeah.
Middle East.
Yeah.
It's an open market. Obviously, there are affordable units that obviously Lewisham will obviously tell us as a developer what percentage they want. So it's sort of a bit out of the developer's hands in a way. But obviously this was all agreed years and years ago. Things move on, things change. But ultimately it's still with the councils that approve whatever percentage they let for us to sell privately versus any affordable shared ownerships.
And is that still at 14%? Yeah.
As far as I'm
Yeah,
aware.
so I think that's what the developer negotiated to,
Back in the day.
Back in the day, I mean, it's, what is it now? It's like 60%.
It's not higher, so times move on. So if this was maybe done now, slightly different distribution.
City might have a slightly different take on it.
So, but it's all, again, like you say, it's all political as well, how things develop. So we're all pawns in it at the end of the day. But from my perspective, I'm just here to help construct the development, do it safely, and have the quality. So that's what we want. Who makes the money, who comes and joins, it's open to the market. So.
There is, I read, this was in May, I think there was something like on the, I suppose just on the same lines around like affordable housing is like not necessarily, affordable housing isn't necessarily affordable for everybody, so it's like, it depends on how that's rated, but there's something which is in South Flintshire called Citizen House. I don't know if that was really interesting. It's a community land trust. That's really, so it's
and it's also like so each individual council will have whatever their remit is, and at that moment in time, whatever is negotiated.
and
so
what it says in the local plans.
Yeah.
So like what gets defined in sort of like policy is kind of what you can follow
So
through
it's
with
not
later.
just the developer who might think face value might be the developer demanding X, Y, and Z, but most of the time we're trying to adhere to the requirements of the council.
Yeah, councils are under immense pressure to deliver X number of houses per year.
So if someone wants to do a team photo while you're here, the camera's out.
Oh, thank you. I would love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Livestream.
I'm not sure. So my background's in like racing. That boundary with the river. The lorries in and so forth. It had another iteration, which was this was foreign cattle market. They would bring in cattle from and sheep from South America, bring them live to here, slaughter them, and send them into London market, Smithfield market. So if you go down to the beach, you'll see a lot of bones. A lot of bones. So yes, it's a bit like that live animal transport coming through here as well. And there's just so much material about this site. Lots of photographs of that, so you can see
lots of drawings.
If architects and designers and conservationists supporting now, it could still be developed as high density housing, but with, because it's not to say that actually this space doesn't warrant becoming housing, like in such a
definitely.
but it's just, I think the fear seems to be that currently it's like a tabula rasa style, rather than actually drawing interesting, like still be international.
Absolutely, it's a huge shame. Because yes, I think that there's a community organisation that started up after planning approval was granted, called Voice for Deptford, and they proposed an alternative plan, which is looking at that, yes, for high density development, but for unfortunately, I mean,
Like for the developers, is the historic importance not actually potentially add to the value, or is that still just not actually?
It's so funny. Like, I don't know how much of it is cultural of the developer themselves. I think no, it's a Hong Kong-based developer, and it's very, the decisions are all made in Hong Kong. I think it's quite difficult to grasp.
Looked at this space without its current.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, we have a question here. We have noticed on Google Maps that there are a lot of small walking paths on the site. Do you know if people are using the site illegally?
Oh,
question. There's a question about it.
I couldn't possibly comment. It's a site with 24-hour security. There may be ways into the site. There might be, up one way or another. And there's also lots of foxes. Maybe it's just the foxes.
Probably, yeah. Because it says they notice it in Google Maps. So probably it's just the natural paths of the area. Probably.
Yeah, but then also there's, there are kind of ancient ways on here, on this site. If you look at the old maps, you can see how buildings are going to shift around the routes between, the various functions of the dockyard. And a lot of those paths just stay the same as the functions change. So yeah, it's an interesting question, and I'll have a look.
Yeah, I just read it and I was like,
That's fun. I could comment.
I'm still left to read, so you just answer her question.
Yes. Every now and again people get on. There was a few years ago a group of carrot travellers got on and moved into one of the sheds.
Oh, okay.
That was fun. Yes. Anything else?
Is there any unnecessary public access in terms right to the river and stuff?
They not legally or technically, but they are trying to bring they are going to bring the Thames Path back.
Because I was wondering from the style of garden kind of came from the back, and it looks slightly like almost all of the buildings is going up by the riverfront.
Yes.
Which slightly blocks off.
Oh yeah, right. A lot of development, especially in the 80s, it just